Every week, in 9,000 stores, people forgot to bring a tape back. And every week, they paid for forgetting. Inside the company, the accountants never filed that money as a fine. It sat on the audited income statement, on a line of its own, directly beneath the money customers paid to rent the movies in the first place. In 2004, that line was worth $622 million. The late fee was not a punishment, it was a product. On the page, it was the second thing the company sold. Now, you already know how this story goes. The video chain was too slow and too greedy to let the late fees go. A mail-order company with no late fees turned up, and the video chain died. Here is the part that gets left out. On the 1st of January, 2005, they let them go. They killed the late fee, on purpose, in public, with a national campaign and a sign in every window. What happened over the following 11 months is written down in a document any of us can open, and almost nobody has. A number on a page is a strange thing to build a company on, so let me stand this one next to the others. Everything the company earned that year came to about $6 billion. Rentals, sales, all of it, in 9,000 stores across 25 countries. The late fee was $622 million of that. 10 cents of every dollar that walked in the door. Revenue is the boring half, though. The interesting half is what survives the costs, and a late fee has almost no costs. Nobody manufactures a late fee, and nobody has to be paid to sell one. It is charged against a tape the company already bought and already rented, and it is collected from a living room the company never has to visit. Which is why, when the people inside that building sat down to work out what walking away from the fee would cost them, the number they reached for came off the profit line. Put yourself in the chair. There is no villain's chair in this story, and that is the whole reason I am telling it. A normal chair, in a normal office, in a company with 9,000 stores. You are told two things on the same morning. The first is that customers hate the late fee. They have always hated it. It is the most common complaint the company gets about renting a movie, and it has known that for years. The second is that a small mail-order outfit in California has built its whole pitch out of that hatred. 3 words printed on the envelope. No late fees. 2 doors, then. And from where you are sitting, they look identical. Behind the first door, you keep the fee. Customers keep complaining. The mail-order company keeps growing. And everyone outside the building calls you a dinosaur. Behind the second door, you kill the fee. The complaint disappears overnight. The mail-order company loses its best line, and the customer who left comes back on a Friday night. Sitting where you are right now, with nothing on the line, you know which door you would take. Everyone does. Hold on to that for 90 seconds. I am going to take it off you. Now let me put the rest of the page in the frame, because I left it out on purpose. Before it could kill the fee, the company had to tell its shareholders what killing it would cost. That part is not optional. It goes in a filing, signed by the auditors, and it is still sitting online tonight. I am going to read it to you the way it is written. For the full year 2005, we have projected that extended viewing fees would have directly contributed an estimated $400 to $450 million in revenue, and approximately $250 to $300 million in operating income. Operating income. Profit from running the business. Hold that against one more figure from the same set of accounts. In the 4 years leading up to that decision, this company turned an operating profit exactly once. 1 year in 4. And in that year, its best year, the whole thing, 9,000 stores, $6 billion, 70,000 people, produced $347 million of operating income. The fee, on its own, was worth 250 to 300. Read those two numbers again, side by side. The charge that every single customer hated was producing something close to the entire profit of the company in the best year it had. Nobody in that room was stupid. There was no room to be stupid in. There was a door with the customer behind it, and a door with the profit behind it. And it was the same door, and it only opened one way. There is one more thing the fee was holding up, and it is the thing that turns this from an anecdote into a mechanism. The price of the rental itself. If a quarter of your profit arrives from people who bring the tape back late, the price on the tape does not have to carry the profit. It can be low. Low enough to fill the store on a Friday night. Low enough to beat the place across the street. Low enough that renting a film felt cheap, because for most people, it genuinely was cheap. Most people brought the tape back on time. They were being subsidized by the ones who forgot. That is the machine, and it has no operator. The customer who does the right thing pays less than the film is worth. The gap is collected quietly from the customer who does the wrong thing. Neither of them is ever told, and neither of them would believe you. Once you can see that, the most famous scene in the whole story changes shape. In the year 2000, the two founders of that mail-order company flew out to Dallas and offered to sell it. The price they say they asked was $50 million. They were turned down. Everyone hears it as blindness. Look again at what was on the table. The thing being offered for sale was a company whose entire product was the abolition of the buyer's profit line. I want to be careful here, because this channel does not invent motives. There is no document in which anyone says the fee was the reason for the no. What there is a document that says what the fee was worth, and a second document, filed a year later, that says what it cost them the day they finally gave it up. So they gave it up. On the 1st of January 2005, the fee stopped in more than 4,500 company stores. The complaint everybody hated was gone. And the floor went with it. The following year's filing tells you what happened next in a single sentence, and I am going to read that one the way it is written as well. In connection with our No Late Fees program, we incurred approximately $60 million in marketing and implementation costs during 2005 and reduced rental revenues by over $500 million. Over $500 million in 1 year. Out of the one line on the page that had almost no cost attached to it. The fee is still there on the income statement, still on its own row, so you can sit and watch it die. $622 million in 2004. $90 million in 2005. And the strange part, the part nobody expects, is that the plan worked. Customers did come back, traffic went up. The money people paid to rent films, the base price, the honest line, rose by nearly 9%, and in an industry that was shrinking every single quarter. That is close to a miracle. It just wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. They gave away $500 million of nearly pure profit and won back a few $100 million of revenue that still had to pay for the tape, the shelf, the rent, the truck, and the person behind the counter. Take the accounting write-downs out of both years and do the subtraction yourself. In 2004, with the fee, the business made about $250 million of operating profit. In 2005, without it, it lost about 70. The document had said the fee was worth 250 to 300 million. The document was right. The bill lands where it always lands, which is never on the desk of anyone who was playing. At the end of that year, 72,000 people worked for the company. Most of them stood at a register in a strip mall on a Saturday. Not one of them had ever seen the line on the page that was holding their store up, and not one of them was asked. There is one more move in this story, and it is the move that proves the fee was never a mistake. 5 years later, a new chief executive quietly brought the late charge back. Not the whole thing, not under the old name, but it returned, and the reason was the reason it had always been. The company needed the money. By then, it was over. In September of 2010, the company filed for bankruptcy protection with around $900 million of debt. Now look at the scoreboard the way the people in that building had to look at it. Keep the fee, and the customer walks out slowly, and the mail order company takes her, and you are gone in 5 years. Kill the fee, and the customer stays, and the profit walks out instead, and you are gone in 5 years. Call that a decision, if you like. It is a room with 2 exits and a floor that has already been sold. There is no word for that in the language we use to tell business stories, which is exactly why people reach for arrogant and dinosaur and move on. And notice who never turns up in any of it. Nobody at the counter chose the fee. Nobody in the boardroom invented it. It arrived with the tape and the shelf and the Friday night, and by the time anybody thought to look at it properly, it had been holding the roof up for 15 years. The company with the envelopes won because it was built with no floor to lose. Every price you pay has a shape you cannot see. Part of it pays for the thing. Part of it pays for the person who does the same thing late, or badly, or not at all. And there is no line on your receipt for that. And there never will be. The video shop's version of it had a name and a row on a page, and that is the only reason you and I can look straight at it, 20 years later, on a Tuesday, for free. Yours doesn't have a row on a page. So the next time a company gives up the charge that everybody hated, and the press calls it a change of heart, ask the question, the filing answers, and the press release never does. What was holding the floor up? And what is holding it up now?